Now let's take a look at combinations. Combinations are a group of items in which this time order does not matter. Let's take a look at an example using countries. And how many ways could you choose 2 countries from the table when you write a report about these countries? So, using the first letters of each one, let's see how we compare them off. Australia and Canada together, Australia and Ethiopia, Australia and India, Australia and Tanzania, and Australia and the US. So here's all the possible combinations just with Australia. Then Canada, we already paired it with Australia up here. Since order doesn't matter, we don't want to count it again. So we're going to do Canada and Ethiopia, Canada and India, Canada and Tanzania, Canada and the US. Now on to Ethiopia. Ethiopia has already been paired with Canada and already been paired with Australia. So we'll start with Ethiopia and India, Ethiopia and Tanzania, Ethiopia and US. You can see the pattern. India, Tanzania, India, US, and then Tanzania, US. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 different options. And since order doesn't matter, that's why we don't choose these things twice. So how do you figure out a combination without having to count or write out each one of these? In general, there are fewer combinations than permutations. To find the number of combinations, written NCR, find the total number of permutations first, then divide that by the possible permutations. So here's what this means. Remember, our notation for permutation was the same. So here's where we are starting. Here are the options. So to figure them out, because order doesn't matter, we're going to find out the number of permutations first, and then we're going to figure out how many permutations were possible since we don't need all the different permutations. Okay, so we are starting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 countries. We want a combination of 2 each. So, setting this up with permutations, we want 6 countries choosing 2 at a time. And we're going to divide that by permutations where we just say we have 2 options, 2 at a time. So, 6 options with 2 each. First option we will have 6. Second option we will have 5. We'll do that 2 times. Divide it by, so we have 2 options. So for the first option we have 2, for the second option we'll have 1. Now we will get 6 times 5 is 30. 2 times 1 is 2. And we get an answer, 15 combinations, which is what we counted earlier. Now on first look, this doesn't look any easier than counting these up, but let's try a couple more examples so that this becomes easy and something that is not complicated for our bigger and larger choices. Let's take a look at an example. How many ways could you choose 3 different items from a menu containing 6 items? So our menu has 6 items. Our choices we want to be 3. So our combination would be, because we don't care if we're going to have lettuce and tomato or tomato and lettuce, the order doesn't matter, we would write this as 6C3. Which means that we're going to do the permutation, which is 6P3 over the choices we want, which is 3P3. So we're going to do 6 options 3 times. So for the first option we get 6 choices. The second option we get 5 choices. And the third option will stop there because we only want 3 different choices. Then we'll divide that starting with 3. For the first time we'll get 3, then 2, then 1. 6 times 5 is 30, times 4 is 120. 3 times 2 is 6, times 1 is 6. divide that out, and we get 20. There are 20 options of a menu of 6 things if we choose just 3. If you had 5 choices of sandwich fillings, how many different sandwiches could you make by choosing 3 of the 5 fillings? So we have 5 sandwich fillings, and we want 3 on our sandwich. We want 3 of the choices. So we have 5, that's what we're starting with. We only want to choose 3. So we'll set that up using permutations, same way. And then the bottom, since we have 3 choices, we're going to do permutation of 3. Alright, so for the first choice we have 5. For the second we have 4. Third we have 3. And that's all we're going to do because that's all I wanted, 3 choices. And then we do the 3, 2, 1. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 times 3 is 60. 3 times 2 is 6. Times 1 is 6 as well. And we get 10 possible choices. Here I've used combination notation, and I've just simply given you that we're going to start with 8 and we want 2 choices. So we can go ahead and plug that right into our formula, and we'll write it using permutations. We want 8 permutations, 2 choices from those. And then since our choices are 2, we're going to do permutations for 2. So for our first choice we'd have 8 items. For our second choice we'd have 7. And that's all I'm going to do because I only want 2 options. And then we have 2 times 1 for our denominator. 8 times 7 is 56. 2 times 1 is 2. And we have 28 options for that particular combination.